Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat-curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your home. And I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it. So I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Hey everybody, it's John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. So happy to be with you today. Always like to start the show out by talking about what it means to be a warrior. And if you've not listened to us before, I always give the definition, which is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. And a lot of times, you'll mention this and people will be like, well, I don't feel very brave and I'm not a soldier, but I just remind you that it says or. So experienced fighter, let's go with those two. And if you've ever overcome anything in life, that gives you experience and it means you fought through it if there's any form of difficulty. So you get to call yourself a warrior. And the important part about being a warrior is it's really truly a mentality. And the warrior mentality just means that no matter what is coming at you, no matter what you're up against, that you're willing to go to war with it. You're willing to be in the fight. And so, something that we're dealing with right now is being in the fight for our daughter on something that we're dealing with. And, when it is easy to give up, it's easy to think, you know what, I just don't feel like dealing with this. Like, I'm just going to kind of let this slide or let this go. You have to ask yourself sometimes, like, what are you warring for? And when it comes to your kids, I don't really know, short of like doing the life from the Lord, I don't really know that there is anything, and of course your spouse, that is worth warring more for, and sometimes that means working against external forces. Sometimes that means working against your child. Reminding yourself that you are the parent, you are the person that is designed to assist in turning this child or this person into who they're supposed to be. And I find that in today's climate, that's not so much the case. There's a lot of parents that want to be best friends, or they're just not involved. They're in a position where it's like, take your phone, take your iPad, take your game, whatever, go over there. It's just easier this way. Or, I just don't feel like dealing with that. I'm tired from work. So I know you got in trouble at school. I know you got whatever. Just don't let that happen again. There's no repercussion to action. And I think we're starting to actually see that kind of sweep across our nation, and that people are acting out of a lack of fear of repercussion. Mike Tyson says a large part of the problem with our world is no one's afraid of getting punched in the face anymore. Now, that's a little extreme. But I do think that is part of the problem. I watch kids throw fits. I watch adults throw fits, and it's like they don't even have conversations anymore. It's become something where it's just like, I have my way, you have your way, and we're not going to try to meet in the middle. We're not going to try to see to eye. And the thing is, like with conflict, you can have conflict without having a fight. You can have conflicting information, conflicting data, conflicting opinions, and still communicate. And I just think that that's kind of missing. And why am I on this? Well, when you're talking about your kids, that's what I want to talk about warrioring for. Your kids have to be warriors too, but you should be teaching your kids what it looks like to be a warrior by modeling that for them. And you don't realize that your kids are soaking up everything that you do. So when you give up, when you act weak, when you don't fulfill what you say you're going to fulfill, you don't stay true to your word, they watch that. And you might not think so, and you might think it's pretty simple because to you it's just giving up again. But they're taking that in, and you could be designing a child to take the easy way out, to not want to be in the conflict, to not do the hard thing. And the hard thing might be what actually makes them successful in life. And sometimes you might even find yourself making your kid feel bad about it because you don't want to do it. Maybe you don't want to change your food, but you've got a child that has an allergy or an addiction to food or something that is really devastating to them to stay in that. But because you don't feel like dealing with it, you don't feel like giving them the right food, you don't feel like cooking something different, and you don't feel like having what they have to have, you just kind of let it slide. And then they deal with eczema, or they deal with sickness, or they deal with anything that they could potentially be dealing with. Perhaps they're getting in trouble at school, and they come home from school and you're like, I just don't feel like dealing with them on that. I'm gonna let that go. Or maybe you don't feel like going to work yourself, and they watch you just not go to work because you don't feel up to it. You call in that day just so that you can sit around and do nothing. These types of things, like when you're talking about building a child, you got to recognize that you have to fight for them. You have to fight for their future. And sometimes that's going to mean going beyond yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, the more excuses that you make for things, the easier it's going to be for your kid to be able to make excuses. And we have just worked so hard with Sophie to help her to understand why we do what we do. Just like overall, like, why do we press into people so strong, Sophie? Why do we serve people the way that we do? Why, be as organized as we are? Why do we have the schedules that we have? Since Sophie was a very young child, like, we explained these things to her. I'm talking like age 3. Sophie
Right.
knew why we did the things that we did and when we were going to do them. She still to this day kind of like will say, okay, so tomorrow, are we getting up, and then we're going to church, and then after church, are we going out to eat? And then after that, are we going over to Karen's house? And then after that, are we doing this? And she kind of like has her agenda ahead of time, because she's just like aware of like what's coming. Like, we helped her to become aware of what's coming. She's planning for that. What am I going to wear? She even now knows I need to prepare my food and what I bring and have snacks. Of course, we always make sure that she's done that. We are like the checkpoint before she walks out the door.
Well, and that's the whole thing, is she'll even ask sometimes, like, I don't know about this, or, she'll even ask sometimes, can I ask why?
Right.
Like with this, or like when we make a stand on something, like, can I ask why? And I've heard parents say this before, because I'm telling you to, or because I'm your dad, or because it's like, okay, but then they don't necessarily understand how to work through things. Like, just give it to them. Right. Give them the data. Maybe it's your insecurity, or maybe you don't want to have to give them the correct answer, but we've always done that. Like, she is allowed to say that. Can I ask why? And it's like, listen, this is X, Y, Z. And I've even told her before that she is allowed to have an opinion, but that opinion, while it may affect the decision, it isn't what the decision is fully based off of, because it's our job to raise her properly. But yeah, she has that schedule. She knows that stuff.
Well, it's our job to protect her. It's our job to build a godly hedge of protection.
Right.
So, of course, we're going to protect her safety and try to keep her from breaking her neck every single day. But we also are trying to build a godly hedge of protection. And we've been doing that since she was born, or she's been a part of my life since she was 2. So we've been doing that since she was 2. And there will be some decisions that we're making, and we're making them now because we know what that can mean for her down the road. So why does our 13-year-old not have a phone? Because there's more to life than the phone. And there's going to be a day where she's going to have a phone. There won't be a choice. She will have to have a phone. And life will be scrolled, okay? But right now, she doesn't have to be in that position. We still want her to be able to spend time around friends. We still allow her to, gather and do all the things, but we just don't have her on a phone all the time. She's on a piano. She's on a violin. She's on a big bass. She's watercolor, working with watercolors.
She's present.
Right.
Like, we actually sit and talk.
Exactly.
People confuse proximity for presence.
Right.
They confuse proximity for a relationship. Just because you're sitting next to someone on your phone doesn't mean you're actually engaging or having a relationship.
That's exactly right. And just because we've made, just that one simple decision, I'm just using it as an example. We made that decision because of what that means for her future. But just because of that one decision that we've made for Sophie, we have set Sophie up to where she is truly a very mature child at 13 and going to be 14 this month, but very mature and very capable of having adult conversations, very capable of reasoning through things. You could put Sophie in control of something and lead and ask her to lead something. You could walk away and know it's going to get done and know that everything around you is safe and protected. She's been able to grow like that because she didn't spend years of her life stuck to a phone, texting friends, on social media. And again, I know that the day is going to come where those things are going to open up. But when they do open up, what I really hope is that she's not going to be so fixated on it because she has so many other areas of her life.
She's watched her friends do that, and she already acknowledges the waste of time. And it's part of why she is where she is she's built skills in those time frames.
Absolutely. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. If you're just tuning in, we just got done talking about what it means to be a warrior and really warrioring for your kid, like looking forward to their future. And I think what happens is if you warrior for yourself, like actually warrior for yourself, you can see that starts to bleed into your child. And I find that a lot of people are not their greatest advocate nowadays. They're really not. They say they want to be healthy, but then they don't do healthy things. They say they want to lose 100 pounds, but then they go to the buffet. They say they want to fix their knee or feel better or be stronger, but then they don't go to the gym. They say they hate their job, but then they don't try to do anything to get out of it. And it's sad. I watch people, talk about they say it's like the world's got them just confused. They'll say things like, well, I just want to live a little. You talk about going to the gym, or you talk about eating clean or not drinking or whatever it might be. They're like, I deserve to live a little. That's why I do it. And I don't do it every day, and it's like, no, I think you deserve to be, to live a little more quality of life.
Right.
You deserve to live potentially a little longer. And there's just been this confusion that I feel has been put out into the world by, I don't know who. I mean, I think we can argue a few different directions, but it's like this confusion has been designed to think they need these things. They need alcohol. They need sugar. They need all of the garbage that sits on the shelves. It's like joy has been taken or sapped out of people's life. They don't know how to be joyful. They don't know how to be happy. And part of that is just because of the scrolling, the time. We mentioned that in the first segment, the time put into this stuff. People don't know how to actually appropriately accomplish tasks for the neurological responses they're supposed to have anymore because they're too busy grabbing their dopamine at the swipe of a finger.
For me, I totally agree with the swiping thing. But for me, I just think it is a fogged up, bogged down world.
Right.
And I watch it. I watch it every day. I watch people just walk around just kind of foggy and just sort of like there's a mist over them and they just can't get the clarity that they need. And therefore, it doesn't really give them the desire to get up and go to the gym. It doesn't really give them the desire to give 100% on really anything. Why are they foggy? Why are they bogged down? It's because we have a food system that is completely in existence to keep us addicted. Our government is even speaking on it now. There are so many people lobbying companies to make them change the way that they are making their products because we're proving that other countries are not making these products the same way and that a lot of our psychological and physical diseases that we're dealing with are because of what we're eating. And so if we're fogged down or we're bogged down just by all these bad foods, how are we going to ever get out of this so that we can get to a point to where we can overcome and we can become better and we can have the desire to go to the gym and we can have the desire to get a promotion and we can have the desire to spend time with our children. We can have the energy and the focus to be able to fulfill the call and purpose that God has for our life. How can we do that? Well, we have to detox this bad stuff. And if we're adding it in 3 times a week because we want balance, if we're adding it in 3 times a week because we want to be 80% good and 20% bad, how will we ever clean out the toxins and get ourselves to a point to where we can truly see straight? We can see the life that God really has out there in front of us. And that life includes energy. That life includes clarity. That life includes being able to serve others. That life includes being able to take care of our body and be present when we're around other people. That life includes a desire to just live to the fullest and to be optimized. It takes getting the bad out of you. It takes getting the poison out of you to really know that it is possible to live that type of life.
Well, the thing is, it's just like Nike's, deal where it says, just do it. And I think something that people don't pay attention to is that it's not that easy, and it has nothing to do with the mentality and everything to do with what Debbie just told you. If your brain is fogged by chemicals, if you're bogged down by chemicals, if your body is literally sluggish because of chemicals, you're working out of a deficit. So if you compare that to working out and you think about something that you're meant to do, like you're trying to do a shoulder press overhead, working out of a deficit is like putting your arms below your chest where they're not supposed to be to do a press. And then instead of doing the weight you're supposed to be doing, you go a little heavier. And so you can say just push it up, but you're only capable of using 20s. You're holding 25s and you're starting way below where you're supposed to. You can't just do it. That idea that you've been looping on for the past decade, saying you're going to do it, why do you think it hasn't happened? You say you want it. You know you want it. I believe you when you say you want it, but you don't go after it. And that comment of like, you don't want it bad enough, I don't even know that always applies. I think sometimes it's that you don't want to give up what you're doing because you don't even have the energy to do it. But if you took just a glimmer, just a glint, just a moment, a mustard seed of faith, the Bible says, and had faith in something that could change, and you just barely one step rolled into it, you took the crap out of your diet, you talked to someone like Debbie that can help guide you, and you detoxed it, coming from personal experience, I'm going to tell you, colors look different. Smells are different. Life is different. And then you can say, I'm just going to do it. Then you can go to the gym when you're not motivated because you're disciplined. Then you can skip the pie because you don't have a brain addiction that's craving it more than your emotional desire to have it. But if you're walking around in this deficit right now, you need help.
What are your options for that help? For starters, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com. Give us a call, 636-299-2208. We have a 6-month one-on-one nutrition program that is with myself, and it is life-altering. I will tell you exactly what to eat, where to buy it from, how to prepare it, what to order when you eat out, what to do when you travel, what you should be drinking, and what vitamins and minerals you should be taking. Everything is lined out for you. If you're stuck and you don't know how to change, give us a call for that. That is your start. We have personal trainers that will take you through a free personal fitness assessment. I have an online subscription program. It's $24.99. It couldn't be cheaper. I just want a group of people that need help, and I want to serve them. Every other week, we do a live Q&A call. You can ask me any question that you want, and then you have a community that you can share and ask questions in. All of that available to you on integritytrainingsystems.com. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We just kind of left the last segment talking about taking care of yourself, being an advocate for yourself. But sometimes your brain isn't very smart because it's locked up. And so finding someone, at least taking the step to find assistance to get an advocate in the trenches with you. I mean, I remember when I went through my first program with Debbie, and I had never heard it said like this. And I've had coaches before this and was in sports and worked with people in the gym before. But she broke down what I was dealing with. And what she said was, hey, I can help you, I can help give you this data. I can direct you in this way. She goes, but I'm in the trenches with you. Like, if you want this, I'm going to war with you. I will climb in the trench. And the thing is, when you know somebody cares that much and you really listen to it, you're willing to fight stronger. And this is the problem with the whole like 80-20 thing that I have is I watch people do this, and you know what? There is success in it. There are people that are successful, but at the end of the day, they're successful because they lose weight, gain muscle, etc. But like, how do you feel? How is your mind? How is everything else around that? That success rate I find is much smaller. But if you have a coach that actually calls you on this stuff, like, you don't, I understand that you're saying you need that glass of red wine or that, but you don't really want that. It means they care. It's actually easy and more financially beneficial to tell somebody they can have what they want and get a smaller result, but please them. I mean, it's no different with a spouse. If your spouse comes to you and says something that kind of edges you the wrong way, and I'm not talking about them coming in like chewing you out, but it edges you the wrong way, you have to ask yourself, like, wouldn't it be easier to not have this conversation? She's right. What I'm doing is harmful to me. Yeah, I should listen to that because she cares. Because if she didn't care, she wouldn't say it because it wouldn't be worth the friction. But my point is, when you get with someone like that, you can find a person that actually climbs in the trench with you. And we do that with our clients all the time.
Absolutely. We have a client that is the father of another client, and John and I we love this guy. He's just a wonderful person. We absolutely love having him in our gym. And through the years, I mean, they've been part of our gym for many, many years. And we just can't say enough good things about him. He's always just been a very disciplined, organized, successful individual, and we're always happy to have him in the gym. Well, months ago, he messaged me and said, okay, so I've been dealing with these sinus issues, and they're pretty extreme. I mean, like when I say extreme, like can't breathe, I'm just very extreme. And I think he was dealing with some other health issues as well. And he said, so I just decided I'm going to do the carnivore diet. And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's not just like I'm going to start cutting out dairy and see if my sinuses get better. Like, I'm going to do the carnivore diet. Well, now, he didn't message me and say, do you think it's a good idea to do the carnivore diet? He messaged me after having done the carnivore diet.
Right.
And this is not an easy diet to do. Now, he's so good at following directions. He's an extremely detailed person. And so he obviously did it right. He followed all the directions you would need to follow. He did all the research. He did a wonderful job with it. And it was pretty game-changing. I mean, he's in a completely different place. First of all, he's 30 pounds down, which I don't know what your thoughts are, but if you would have ever saw him, I don't think you would have looked at him and said, boy, you better get that 30 pounds off.
Right.
He always looked great.
Yeah.
But he was like, Debbie, that was just body fat and inflammation.
Right.
And so he's like, I want to put on a little bit of muscle now. So about a month or so ago, we started talking about how do I start adding things back in. So I started adding things nice and slowly for him. And it's worked out great. It's been zero issue for him to add those foods in. He's feeling great. We're staying away from grains because he knows grains were driving so many of his issues.
Yes.
And the thing is, and the reason why I say this is because this man has completely transformed his life.
Yep.
Like it is not like he's not the same person anymore. He is in now the best shape of his life, and this is going to be like probably like the last 40 years of his life are probably going to be some of the best years of his life, because he's done this for himself. He's put this foot forward, and I think he just has come to this realization that, like, I just can't believe what food was doing to me before. I can't believe the difference of cleaning all these toxins out of my body and just eating whole food, real food, the difference in how I could feel. This is a very successful individual, and he's just having a moment where he's like, boy, I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would have known this earlier on in my life. Now, I can take that information and I can pass that on to you right now, but how many people will actually do it? No, I'm not telling you to go on the carnivore diet. There's plenty of anti-inflammatory diets that you can go on, and that will be life-altering, very nutrient-dense, won't be as intense, won't be as dramatic. That was his walk. That's what he decided to do. But he is sustaining. He's sustaining, and he is staying healthy, and he's making a decision to not turn back. He's refusing to turn back. He's saying, no, I will absolutely not go back that direction. I refuse to feel that way ever again.
You know what's interesting about him too is he was already like we said, he was a pretty healthy guy.
Yes.
You know, like all things considered, I would give him 80-20, 90-10. Like he was a healthy dude.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, he was having a couple things here and there that he shouldn't, but what he was also having was things that he didn't realize he shouldn't have.
Yeah. Because
they would be considered clean. These grains, he was having these things that were completely jacking his body up, and he had been told, those are clean. But then on top of that, he would have the few little things. So he tightened up. So my point in this is a guy that was disciplined and doing pretty well until the sinus thing started. And then he disciplined up even further, and now he's doing phenomenal. So if your
sinus thing's gone on his whole life.
Oh, that's right. He did have that his whole life.
And no one has
been
able to.
That is right. I forgot that.
And he finally met with the doctor.
Because it was getting worse.
Yeah, finally met with the doctor, and she was like, you need to get rid of gluten and you need to get rid of dairy from your life. And obviously he had heard me say that before, and realized, okay, I should probably do this. So again, went the carnivore direction, which is, again, a very dramatic direction. Yeah. But you can get some pretty intense results, and you can you can realize how toxic your body is.
Well, and what I'm saying is that he was already in that position and saw such a radical change. Mm-hmm. Not to mention dealing with something his whole life. Geez, I actually forgot about that. And then getting that to go away. So, like, you might be dealing with something right now if you're listening to this, and you're like, well, that's my problem. I've had that my whole life, or my family's had that. My grandma had that. My mom had that. And you might be thinking you're destined to have that. But like the thing about food and drink that is so fascinating to me is people will say things like, well, it's been in my family. Well, you know what else has been in your family is your eating profile. We eat a lot of times prior to meeting someone or changing something like dramatic in our life the way our parents do. So like if you're eating pastas and things like that, ask yourself, like, where did that come from? Like, did I used to eat like this with my parents? And so you might be like, well, I didn't do that. We didn't have pizza and stuff when my parents, and then I did it in college. Okay. So you went into the even crappier food phase because you were in college, but if you look at like concepts of how much you eat, what it's kind of set up like, a lot of times you can see that is passed down. So, of course, you're going to have some health issues passed down because you're actually passing it down through the same things that you've consumed in your lineage for who knows how long.
I mean, in genetics, people think, well, I genetically have high cholesterol. I genetically have high blood pressure. Okay, but that's because you've been genetically eating fried chicken your whole life.
You've been genetically altered by your lifeline.
Right.
It's like I there's a predisposition in my family to be overweight. I mean, shoot, I was 100 pounds overweight and had a heart attack. And if you look at a lot of my family, and I'm not, they might be mad that I've said this. Hopefully they don't listen to my show. I think that's probably the case. But, we're overweight. I mean, it is what it is. My daughter is not. Okay. And if you look at,
take a stand
and if you look at her mom's family, they are too. And so it's like, well, genetically going into our daughter, she should be overweight. And, genetically, there's a predisposition to extreme anxiety and depression. And you know what? our daughter has struggled with her weight here and there, and she has struggled with anxiety here and there, but it has been when she goes to her mom's house and consumes things that she shouldn't consume. And she's old enough now, she turns 14 in about a month, that she recognizes it and she doesn't want to feel that way anymore. So now her weight is healthy. Her mind is healthy because she's recognized the difference and she wants to be well. So you might be dealing with something that you blame on genetics or on your parents or where you get it from. And I challenge you to change your mindset. If you're dealing with something that doesn't make you happy, makes your life harder, or you don't enjoy, challenge it. Break the generational curse. Look for a way out of it and fight for it. And if you've looked before and you haven't found the answer, look again. It took Debbie 22 doctors to feel like she wasn't going to die, but she found it, and here she is. And thank God for that. So whatever you're dealing with, if it's health related, I mean, that's what we do. Our job is to research and get in the nitty gritty. But the problem is everyone's like, well, I asked ChatGPT. Well, that's great. But what ChatGPT does is it's a culmination of information put in the internet, and some of it's wrong and some of it's right, but not right for you. So if you take someone that's got experience and actually puts it together for you and works with you and is also in your corner, it's different. There's great stuff from AI. There's great stuff online. But if you're trying it and it's not working, it's not effective, and you still feel bad, you need to hire somebody. And that's someone that's actually going to try to help you out.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the greatest things that I hear from people is, I just wish I would have called you sooner. For so many years, I told myself I was going to do this. For so many years, I told myself I needed to do this. And I wouldn't let myself spend the money. I didn't think I'd stay committed. But you've held me to it. You've held me to the accountability. And I could have changed my life earlier. You know, even the client that we talked about, you know, that made those changes, even he said, I just wish I would have done this. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have done this earlier. I wish I would have made this level of a commitment earlier, than I could have gone this many years without having this many issues. At Integrity, what we do is we provide a 6-month nutrition program. It is very specific. It is very detailed, and you meet with me for that. You can get more information on that program on our website at integritytrainingsystems.com, or for a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers. You can give us a call at 636-299-2208. If the one-on-one nutrition is not what you're looking for, I have an online subscription program, 2 live Q&A calls a month. The cost is $24.99 a month, and it is a live Zoom meeting. And then you have basically the ability to go back to a year's worth of messages and just continue to grow and continue to learn. There is also a community that you're a part of that you can ask questions in. You can share recipes, you can share workouts, you can share experiences, you can share doctors, all your different situations, and you have now a community that will support you. You can find information on that live Q&A program at integritytrainingsystems.com as well. For more information on gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods from my personal bakery delivered to your door, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Just talking about fighting for your best self, fighting for being well, you know, fighting for living the rest of your life. You know, sometimes I think we talk about what we deserve. And I don't know, it kind of just hit me between segments while we were on break here. And, you know, the reason Christ came and died for us is because what we deserve is actually pretty terrible. So when you think about what I deserve as a human, what I deserve as a human is not good. I don't really deserve anything. And sometimes I think we get kind of wrapped up in this idea of how important we are, you know, and what we deserve. And so you don't actually deserve anything, but what you do deserve, if we're going to keep using that word, and I don't have one to put in place of it, is what you work for. And so if you think you deserve health or you deserve being well or to have a treat or to have a that or to cheat on this, then you know what? I guess you're right. But you have to fight for that. And wouldn't you rather deserve health? Wouldn't you rather deserve living longer and having a better quality of life for while you are alive versus deserving a glass of wine versus deserving cheesecake? And I guess what I'm trying to get across to you is sometimes mentally reframing is actually important. I remember when I was growing up, I used to think that idea of like, you really have to think it through is so stupid. But I have a guy, he actually deals with the same things that I've dealt with in the past. And it's been years since I've dealt with this because I've been clean. But, 12 years ago, I was suicidal. When I met Debbie, I was in a dark place. I didn't want to be alive anymore. I just thought, well, this is what it's like. All my pains and aches, this is what it's like to feel older, gaining weight, because that's just what it is, And like I said, I was in a dark place. I was suicidal. And we cleaned my food up, and guess what? Now I'm like, holy crap, like I didn't want to be here anymore. I want to be here for another 50 years. I cannot believe I ever even thought that. Well, I have a client, and he is in the boat right now that I was back then. And when I met with him and his wife actually cried and was like, I'm going to do this with him, but he needs this. Like he needs this to be well. And I've got him journaling because he did it for a month and he was feeling fantastic. Didn't have dark thoughts. Goes on vacation like everybody does. It's an all-inclusive and just hammers off base for a week. Comes back from the high of being on vacation, starts to feel pretty low, but then can't get his food locked back in, starts sputtering. So we start talking about it. He had some dark days. And I said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to journal. I want you to journal a good day, and I want you to journal a bad day. All of the good things that happen, all of the bad things that happen, and then I want you to journal what you ate for that day. And I want you to go back and look at not only that day, but the days before. What did I eat? How did I feel? And when you look at the bad journal, you go to the bad journal, and it says you ate fried food, you ate this, you ate that, and you were thinking about suicide, remember that. When you go to the good journal and you're like, I didn't yell at my wife today. I didn't yell at my kid today, which you tell me is important to you, and you do when you're off your food. You do when you're dark. I want you to remember that. It goes beyond just don't do it. And if you guys are planning to just don't do it and you've continued to do it for 5, 10, 20 years, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to change that. So you have to find a pattern of change. And for him, it's the journal.
I was telling Sophie the other night, we were driving home from work and we drove by Chick-fil-A and we were like, oh my gosh, it's like 8 o'clock. There's just so many people in line. We're just like, what a business, just like, wow. So I started telling her the story about how basically 30 years ago, I was in Louisiana and went to Chick-fil-A the first time, and you never even heard of Chick-fil-A back then. And I had these little nuggets, and this was before I knew I had to be gluten-free. This was before so many things. This might have been like 35 years ago. And I thought the nuggets were absolutely delicious, but I would walk to my car and start feeling bad. I couldn't even leave the building before I started to feel bad. I had a headache. I just felt kind of blurry. The lethargy just came on me. I didn't even really feel like going and doing the errands that I needed to go and do. And then there was this place down there in Shreveport that had fried chicken. And so at the time, my ex-husband worked for General Motors. So when he was off work on the weekends, every Saturday and Sunday, we'd go to a church and we'd go to get fried chicken afterwards. And then on Saturday, we'd go get fried chicken. We could not do anything after we ate this fried chicken. And somehow we convinced ourselves that this was normal and okay behavior because we had no knowledge that the food was basically poisoning us, because this is Southern fried chicken. This is homemade. This has been brining overnight. Like, this is the real stuff. The biscuits with the butter, everything with it was delicious. And so we would have to go back to the apartment that General Motors gave us and take a nap
before we could even consider going to the grocery store, picking up our dry cleaning, going to the park, doing any of the things we want to do. We were a hot mess. We both had a hard time staying awake, getting back to the apartment in the car. And then when we would wake up, we would just be like living, breathing slugs. We had no idea why we felt this way. We had no clue. No clue.
Well,
and then when I got so sick that I almost died, I realized after studying and meeting with people and doing all these things, the food I'm eating right now is trying to kill me. It's trying to kill me.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if you know this or not, but you're supposed to take a nap after you eat after church because it's tiring. You know, like, I don't know if you know that. Like, it's your off day, so you're supposed to rest. You know, so like.
Well, we did it on Saturday,
so that's
too.
how it works. You go to church, you go eat, and then you go sleep.
But we kept going back.
Now let me tell you this.
We would go every weekend.
Okay, so I'm obviously being facetious, but think about that, guys. My dad was a preacher, and he used to joke about that. He said the most important part about the time between Sunday school, this is back when Sunday school happened before church, he said the most important thing to talk about between Sunday school and church is where you're going to go eat at noon, because that's what time you go eat, because if he preaches past that, everybody's going to start looking at their watches and phones and glaring at them, because it's time to go eat, you know, after church. And so what happens? Buffets, you know, we overeat, go order garbage food, go out to these places like this, and everybody goes home and takes a nap. We don't do that. We rest on Sundays, but our rest is we get up, we get ready, we go to church, and we go do stuff. Sometimes we just come home, but we don't require sleep because we're not sludging ourselves with what we're eating in between. Now, if that's how you want to spend your time
together as a family,
that's how you spend your time. Now, listen, I think the world knows that I am all for, if you need a nap, napping. Like, if you don't sleep well at night and you find a moment to catch a nap and it's going to make you rejuvenate and spend the rest of your day rejuvenated.
Oh, this wasn't by choice.
Then great.
We were in a coma.
But this is the point I'm about to make.
Every weekend.
John Bernthal, who plays the Punisher in the TV show, he recently has come under fire because he was like, I don't think you should nap. I don't understand napping. And so, of course, he's just literally being like darts shot at him. So he came out in a second statement. And he was like, look, guys, I get it. Like, if you're tired, grab a nap. He goes, I'm not trying to like hurt your feelings or be hateful. I just think that you might have something more important or better that you could do instead of nap. And I think Bernthal's point holds true in that if you're napping outside of requiring the rest, like you're talking about, you're basically being chemically put down for a nap. You are losing time.
Yes.
You are losing life. Like, think about, I mean, what would you nap for? 1 hour, 2 hours?
At least an hour.
You know, you think about it, like that's an hour you're not spending with your family. That's an hour you're not doing something you want to do. And it's not even restful. That's the problem with like food-induced comas. You don't actually get rest out of it when you're asleep.
I woke up feeling terrible.
Correct.
Headache. Heart rate was high. I mean, just so many things. Stomach was hurting. So many things were wrong. For more information on a 6-month nutrition program with myself, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com, or for a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, give us a call at 636-299-2208. Also, my online subscription program where you have 2 online live calls with me every month, and you have access to all of the prior calls and a community where you can ask questions. $24.99 a month. More information on integritytrainingsystems.com. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Thank you all so much for listening, and God bless.